Hello, this is Luke Jones here, and thank you so much for joining into this 50-day sprint to the finish line session. So we are recording this session. It will be played out on our private Facebook group, and I look forward to seeing many of you join us today live on the Facebook stream and also in this Zoom room. So before we get started, just a quick introduction for those of you who don't know me. My name is Luke Jones, and I am a productivity coach to help agents get massive results out of their business here in the UK. I was in the US for 15 years working as a real estate agent, or a realtor as they call them over there, under a brokerage called Keller Williams. And so many of you are inside of that Keller Williams family, and I engage with you like pretty often in terms of helping you with your productivity coaching based on the Keller Williams models that we're all very familiar with. But today what I wanted to do is just talk more about some mindset stuff and some basic simple strategies to ensure that you get the very best out of the next 50 days. So with just 50 days left till the end of the year, we have to make some pretty big decisions about how we're going to behave so that we get really tangible results. So my goal today is to basically give you a little one-on-one coaching right here. So I'm just going to let some folk into the room. Give me 1 second. All joining. Let's just see. Good morning, good afternoon, I should say, Diana. Diana's just joining on audio right now, and so is Jatinder. Let's see,
Hi.
there you go, Jatinder and Diana. Diana's still connecting on audio. There you go, Diana, welcome. Great to see you, Jatinder.
Hello.
Diana,
Hi.
nice to meet you. Thank you for joining in today, I appreciate that.
You're welcome, thanks for inviting me.
You are very welcome. We've not had a chance to meet before, so just give me a quick intro. Where are you based right now? Where are you?
Okay, so right now I'm actually based in Zimbabwe. The sun is shining.
Wow.
Yes, it's sunny out here.
Look at that.
Nice.
That is
So
awesome.
I'm just at home, but it's quite hot, a little bit of a heat wave. So
beautiful.
Yeah, I was previously based in Oxfordshire.
Oh, okay.
For a couple of years, and Northampton for about 14 years prior. So
amazing.
Just moved to Africa, yeah.
Congratulations. That's a big
Thank you.
move.
Yes, very big move.
Well, I moved back from California where I was for 15 years and now back here in my home country of the UK. So we've done some big moves together. And you're a real estate agent, are you? Is that your business?
Yes, so real estate is my background. So I did that. I used to sell houses in Northampton since 2009, did that for quite a few years, then started my own business and also got recruitment experience.
Amazing. Very cool. Yeah. And which brokerage are you with? Are you with Keller Williams, or are you with another broker that we may have heard of?
No, so I used to work for a company called Harrison Murray quite a long time ago. That was in little independent in Northampton. Never really went for any of the corporate guys, wasn't exactly my style.
Yeah.
And then I did run my own lettings and property management business since 2015.
Great.
And
amazing. So this is going to really resonate with you today. And Jatinder is one of my coaching clients, so bless you for joining, and I'm so happy to have you here. So you feel free to weigh in, Jatinder, at any time and contribute anything that you want. But you know what we're talking today is, it's not corporate at all. It's helping independent business owners like you guys be very clear and very purposeful around what you need to do to really round out the rest of this year, so that then you're setting yourself up for a really powerful 2022. So I was doing a little intro before. Jatinder knows who I am, but Diana, for your benefit, I have been an agent for many years, 10 plus years as a top producing agent in the US. And now I'm back here, and in my capacity here in the UK, I'm helping as a productivity coach with agents here in the UK to build out their businesses, but also very happy to help you in Zimbabwe as well. So my goal for today, okay, you guys, and we'll spend the best part of the rest of the hour together, is to show you some ways how you can systematically and with consistency go from someone who is over motivated but underachieving, right, to someone who is stunningly successful and overachieving, right? So overachieving is better than over motivated, right? So what we're going to talk about is how to make sure that discipline can carry you when motivation can't. Don't know if you've heard that expression before, but so this is a 50-day sprint to the finish line. The first thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about something that have you guys heard of or read any books by Tim Ferriss? Tell me if you have. If you haven't, that's fine.
Yeah, heard of him, haven't actually read any of his material.
So he's all about efficiency, right? And what he would say that is very interesting is that he would say that you've got to be very specific, because vague people will get punished, but specific people will get rewarded, right? So the key here is to be very specific, not to have a vague overall kind of blanket goal, but to have a very specific goal, so that this is going to help inform you where you are right now, but also crucially, where you're going to spend your time in the next 50 days, right? So when you have that specificity, stuff tends to just happen, right? So call it the law of attraction, or you know, call it you know, the RAS, right? The reticular activation system, when stuff, you know about stuff and all of a sudden you see it everywhere. So let's just call it clarity, right? Clarity of vision right now about what you need to do over the course of the next 50 days. So taking that idea of, you know, it's about being very clear. The bottom line is you got to have these specific goals, and you also need to be very, very clear around aligning your behaviors with your goals. So what I mean by this is that it's all well and good to have a written down plan of where you want to be, but if your daily activities and your daily behaviors are not aligned with the goals that you've set, there's a gap, right? So you got to close that gap. You got to figure out how to close that gap. And I think that there's something that you can do in order to help you close that gap right now. It's a really good exercise to do, particularly at this time of year, where you're doing a bit of a gut check on how the year has been. What have you done in your business? What's it been like? Where do you want to go? And I don't know if you've done this before, but let me just share the slide with you so that you can see what it looks like. So have you guys heard of the 8 equities of life, or that call it the wheel of life, right? So it looks a little like this, where what you want to do is and you can do this exercise, you can find it online, you can and you can create the categories for yourself, but the categories that I like in particular are the following: is that you want to have your family, you want to have your physical well-being, your health, right? You want to have your income or your wealth. So you got your health and your wealth. You want to have your mindset and your attitude towards things. You want to have that spirituality piece, whether or not you're a religious person or whatever your beliefs are. You got to have something that is in there that's about your spirituality, let's just call it. Your career, so your business, right? But then also your social life, what you do for fun. And then finally, the contribution side, the giving back side, okay? And the idea here is that this is going to help you figure out where you are right now in all of the 8 equities of your life. And if you were to do this exercise, what you would do is you would kind of give yourself a score where you would rank where you are on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, in all those 8 categories. So it's an opportunity to be very honest with yourself. I'm just going to let Sol into the room here. it's an opportunity to be very honest with yourself, and this is only for you. You can share it if you like, but this is for you, right? To be very honest about where you are in those 8 different categories. And I dare say that we're all human beings, that we can't all score 10 out of 10 on everything, right? But what might happen is that you might be scoring high on some things, but really quite low on others. And this could result in a very kind of janky circle that's not very smooth, and it's not kind of round and beautiful, but it might look a little bit more like this. Let's go to the slide and I'll show you. So as you start to fill in your 8 equities of life, you might end up seeing something that looks a bit
Going
like,
on here, mate.
hey Saul, can you hear? There you go. So when you look at all these equities in your life and you fill in your scores, you know, from 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, you might end up looking at a wheel of life a bit like this, which this is okay. This is what I want you guys to be able to do, because it gives you the opportunity to really assess where are you out of balance, right? And so what's interesting is that in my view, for you to have consistent scores that are kind of the same across all those different areas of your life would actually be a better way of existing than if you were scoring 10 out of 10 on your work, but you were scoring a 1 out of 10 on your family and friends, right? So the purpose of this is going to help you figure out where you need to get in alignment. So it's about having that alignment. And so when you align your goals with your behaviors, and when you have something that you can see where the breakpoints are and see where you need to make some improvements to spend a bit more time in certain areas of your life that are maybe not, you know, in balance, it's going to help you have a more well-rounded life going forwards. So the key to this next step really is to then be very specific around what these goals are that you're going to shoot for. And as we've talked about, you know, many times before, this specificity is going to be all around creating a very simple plan. So the choices that you have is, do you want to have a simple plan or a complicated plan? And of course, we would all rather have that straightforward, simple plan, right? And so at the end of the day, even though we're in the relationship, and I don't know whether this is the same for you, Diana, but I suspect it is, because we all can agree that we want to be in a relationship business, not a transactional business. We want to get relationship-driven results, not just transactional results. And so people are not numbers and people are not widgets, but the fact of the matter is that the business, the language of business is maths. It's a numbers game, right? We all understand that it's a numbers game. And so we have to be very clear, like it or not, that it's a maths equation. And so part of that is understanding that you need to go out there and have a certain number of conversations and book a certain number of appointments in order to get a certain number of listings, in order to close a certain number of deals, which results in a certain GCI in your business, right? So what does that mean in terms of like, how many people do you specifically need to talk to? And we'll go through the maths on this in a minute, and we'll go through the specifics on this. But for now, what I want to just point out is that obviously the game that we're in is a contact sport. And we have to be out in front of people, talking to them every day. That is the most important thing that we can focus on. So we've just got to acknowledge that, right? We've got to acknowledge that we need to talk to more people. If you want more results to show up in your life, you've got to talk to more people. So how are you going to do that? How are you going to make sure that daily you go out there and have more conversations? Diana, someone who's not maybe familiar with this type of stuff, how is this resonating with you so far in terms of owning and operating a business that gets relationship-driven results? Do you agree that you got to go out and talk to more people?
100%. Definitely. Yeah, you If you run a secret business, you're never going to make any money. So we have to get out there.
Don't be a secret agent, right?
Yes.
Even though it sounds kind of cool. Yeah, so you got to get out there. You got to acknowledge that this is the most important thing, is to go out there and have those conversations with people every single day. So before we get into the maths equation and I can explain to you how you can make this sort of how to know how many people to talk to pretty simple. First of all, we need to again go back to that. What are our goals, right? And we need to be very specific about what our goals are and write them down. We need to list out our goals. And so, you know, as an exercise for you guys over the course of the next few weeks, really start to write down what those goals are, so that then you can visualize it. You have it written down, and you can even share that with your nearest and dearest, right? And you can tell people, these are my goals for 2022. But allow yourself to really fantasize about what those goals are. Like what would if we were talking in 12 months time, so we're almost at the end of 2022, what does life look like for you in 12 months time? How do you feel? How's your health? How's your well-being? How's your bank account? How's your family? How's your church, your school, your whatever the thing is that's in your life? How are you doing, right? And really kind of try and visualize that and be very specific and get clear, you guys, on all of those 8 categories that I shared with you. So as a reminder, those 8 categories are your family, first and foremost, your physical well-being, your income or your wealth, right? Your mindset, attitude, your spirituality, your career, your social life, your friends, what are you doing for fun, and your giving back. So across all of those 8 categories, what does it look like in a year's time? So when we do this, it really starts to help kind of anchor. It's like looking at our big why, right? It's like having a very clear vision of where we want to be, so that then once we have that clear vision, the daily process of the behaviors that we do, the activities that we do, the things that we do on a day-to-day basis are driven by the motivation of wanting to, you know, be that person in a year's time. So what about, and again, pulling back a little bit here, what about if we went, you know, even further into the future? You know, what about if we looked at what's going to happen in the next 5 years? And I think what's really interesting is that people tend to wildly overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but they vastly underestimate what they could achieve in 5 years. And so, again, I think this is an opportunity to try and extrapolate, look forward in 5 years' time, and have a really good goal as to what does that look like? What's 5 years or 10 years or even 20 years from now? How good could your life be, right? How good could things be if you really just did the things that you know you need to do on a daily basis? So Diana, this is, again, I'm going to talk about lots of stuff that is more familiar maybe to Tinder and to Soul, but there's a book called The One Thing that I really recommend you seek out and you read, because it's really cool. And the concept behind the one thing is to be very clear that what's the one thing that I can do today that will, you know, such that by doing that, everything else will either be easier or even unnecessary. But the one thing that you do today that feeds into the one thing that you do next week, that feeds into the one thing that you do in the month. So it's all the domino effect, right? So how good could things be if I really were to focus? And so when you're thinking about this 5-year goal, maybe write down 20 reasons why this is a must for you. Why do you have to do this? Like maybe this is it, right? I'm done with being, overweight, or I'm done with being that tired person in the morning, or I'm done with being that person who always says no to stuff, or I'm done being, what are the 20 reasons why these goals are an absolute must for you? Now, this is all about closing the gap, right, between your behaviors, which are over here somewhere, and your goals, which are over here. So we need to, close this gap. This is the objective, is to try and figure out, like, if my goals are here, but I'm behaving like this, clearly there's a separation here. So this is going to create some kind of tension in you, where you're going to be like, you're going to have to acknowledge that I'm not doing the thing that I need to do. As Thomas Edison said, do the thing, have the power, do not the thing, have not the power, right? So if you're doing things that are not going to get you the results that you need to do, that you need and that you want, stop doing them. Stop eating the junk food, stop eating, So this real focus on what those goals are is going to help close this gap between your behavior and your motivation. But it's not just for you, right? Who else is it for? Soul, I know you've got a big family, so right? This isn't just for you, my friend.
Yeah, that's true. For the family.
For the family. So, whether it's family, or is it a cause, or, what is it like? It's not just for you. And the funny thing is that sometimes that really helps, because we can sometimes give more to other people than we can to ourselves. But if the other people don't know that you're on this kind of path, and that you're on this kind of, this plan, they don't know what they don't know, right? So tell them, share your goals with those important people around you, because then they will hold you to account. Jatinder, I don't know whether your mum, who I know you take care of and you look after and you're awesome and all that kind of stuff, does she know what the plan is? Have you articulated it to her?
Yeah, not really. No, I haven't. Not all of it, anyway. Not all of it. But
so as Diana was saying, like we don't want to be a secret agent, to our community, because then they don't know, and they don't know that we're an agent. But how about communicating to our closest ones, our loved ones, that you got a plan, like, and you're going to put this plan into action. I've got a really, like, I'm gonna go, Jatinder, I'm gonna go on my safari trip, and I'm gonna make sure that I save up, some money to take care of you, Mum, so that then when I go away on my trip, everything's taken care of. You don't need to worry. So this is why I'm going to be doing what I'm doing, and share that goal with your family and your loved ones. So once we get clear on the goal, right, then we have to figure out the metrics on this. We have to figure out the number. And again, this is about just being very clear that maths is the language of our business, right? It all boils down to a maths equation. So how many homes do I need to sell? How many buyers do I need to represent? How many appointments do I need to go on, right? And again, with the specificity in mind, here's a really good idea for next year. Instead of having that, remember the Tim Ferriss quote that I talked about, that vague people get punished, but specific people get rewarded, that be really specific. So instead of having that blanket goal of I'm going to sell 12 homes, or I'm going to sell 20 homes, or I'm going to sell whatever, right? How many homes? Say I'm going to sell, I'm going to help 5 first-time home buyers. I'm going to help 2 referral clients. I'm going to take on 1 new developer. I'm going to represent 5 new, 5 listers, and be very specific and put them into tranches, right? Put them into buckets. And when you put those into buckets and you're very clear around that, then you can design, the action plan around that specific thing. So we talk about, one of the things, Diana, that we talk about a lot with folk inside of the Keller Williams model is having this 1-page business plan, which we call the GPS. Now, it's not Global Positioning Service. It's the goals, the priorities, and the strategies. What you want to have is you want to have that one goal, right? A very specific and measurable goal, but nonetheless, just one goal, right? But then have three different priorities around that goal. So 3 different buckets. another way of calling it, which I like, is like a lead pillar. So 3 different pillars in your business. And then what are the 3 or 4 or 5 specific strategies around that pillar? So again, when you're going to get specific about, what you need to do in your business, get specific around, where these results are going to show up. Are they going to come from your database? Are they going to come from your geo farming? Are they going to come from your referral network? Are they going to come from social media? Are they going to come from, what is it, right? And then, you can design and create an action plan around those specific lead pillars. So let's talk about this maths thing, right? Because no one really likes maths, and I certainly, never did maths great at school, and it wasn't my strong point. But let's remember what this specificity in this maths is all for. It's to make sure that we're very clear on what we need to do on a daily basis, right, to achieve our goals. And it's really about having, at the end of the day, you want to have big savings. You want to have like no debt, no credit card debt, right? You want to make sure that you've ring fence all the money that you need to for your taxes. A lot of people get very upset about taxes. There's no point in being upset about taxes. It's just one of those things, right? So the key to like the tax thing, make more money. That's the key. Just make more money. Focus on making more money, so then the taxes aren't the problem. But make sure that you have good, dependable cash flow to run your business. Make sure that you've siphoned off that amount for the taxes. Make sure that you've got no debt. Make sure that you have got some really big savings. You remember the wise, now who was it that sort of spelled this out? It's in that it's a Tony Robbins kind of financial guru guy who recommends that we want to have 3 minimum, but ideally 6 months of reserves in our account at all times, right? So that then if the shit hits the proverbial fan, we know that we've got enough buffer. So have that savings in place. But in order to figure out that number, so that then what it is that you need to do every single day, there's some key things to remember with the number. So essentially, there's some great stats out there. So essentially, we know that for every 50 conversations that you have, you will close a sale. So let me say that again, because it's a really easy number to remember. That for every 50 conversations that you have, you will close a sale. Now, that doesn't mean that those conversations can just be like, not have any value or be very vague. Like, you've got to go out there and have actual good conversations with people where people know that you're not a secret agent, right, Diana? People know that you're an agent. People know that you bring value, and that those conversations actually lead to setting appointments, blah, blah, blah. But as a general kind of round number, for every 50 conversations, you'll close a sale. So then what that means is that you can figure out that if you need to do 12 sales a year, you're going to need to have, what is that, 600 conversations, right? Is my maths right? So 600, is that correct? I'm feeling a bit thick all of a sudden, but I'm sure it is, right? So then, if it's 600 conversations over the course of a year in order to do 12 sales, that's if we chunk it down, it's really not that many. And the way to chunk it down is to take that number and divide it by not 12 months, because none of us work every single day of the year, right? We take holidays when we things get in the way, and we only work 5 days of the week, not 7, and hopefully, right? And sometimes we can't work for whatever reason. So let's say divide that by 10. So it's going to be 60 calls a month. And then let's say we divide that by however many work days are in the week. Ultimately, you're going to get to a calculation that's very simple, where you'll know your number. And your number might be 5, it might be 6, might be 7, might be 10. depending on the volume of sales that you need to do. And so this becomes your daily number. It's the North Star. It's the guiding thing that helps you every single day, that if you were able to go out there and simply hit that number, you would know that you're on the right path. And then what you can do is you can really master how to have better conversations through practicing scripts and dialogues, through bringing more value, through, you know, touching people in unique ways. So it's not just, you know, it's not just a conversation, but it's more than that, right? But initially, you know, let's figure out what that number is. And then if you were to do those 6 conversations every day before midday, the rest of the day is a bonus. And that's when you can work, you know, on other areas of your business. Prioritize, get those calls done, get those conversations done first, and then you can crack on with the rest of your day. So what I want to reassure you guys is that it's not just about, this is not cold calling people, right? This is not, you know, this is not calling strangers. You can actually divide that number in 2. You can divide that number into half to your database and half are new people. So you always want to feed that database, right? The database is a living and breathing thing that you need to constantly be nurturing on and feeding. So let's say for round numbers, sake of argument, you know, your number was 10. Could you go out there every day and have 5 conversations with people that are inside of your database, and then talk to 5 people that are not inside your database with the view to get them inside? I think we can, right? So having these conversations with people that you don't yet know, a lot of people are like, oh, where are these people? You know, where can I get these people? I'll certainly post in the Facebook group the great list that we have of, it's like a memory jogger, right? It helps you remember where you can go and make connections with people. But here's the surprise, is that they're hidden in plain sight. They're right in front of us. They're the people that we get coffee from. They're the people that we buy the newspaper from. They're the people that walk our dog. They're the people that we buy groceries from. They're the people who bring around packages with Amazon. You know, they're you know, the family members that we don't often see, right? So there's all these people, and a lot of these people are actually residing right now inside of your mobile phone. They're right there. So, you know, when you figure out your number, it might be as simple as, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to systematically go through my phone and just add these people into my database and start having conversations with these folk, right? Reminding them that I'm an agent. So once you've got that very clear number and you can design a very clear kind of daily process around how to reach those people, and it might be something, you know, my coach and the person who, you know, I've worked with for a number of years, who is he's a rock star and a mentor, is Tom Ferry Coaching, and he has a thing called the 5542, right? The 5542 is 5 people inside of your database, 5 people that you don't know, 4 lead follow-ups, and 2 pieces of social media every day. If this 5542 was your model for how to go out there and do your lead generation every day, trust me, you guys would be on fire, because that's a lot of conversations. It sounds like a lot, but remember, you know, it's not that difficult if what it is it's just a simple, hey Sol, how are you? I'm good. You know, how's the family? Great. What's it been like, you know, the last few months with COVID? Pretty rough, right? With the whole working thing. Yeah, really, you know, it's bizarre. Yeah, you know, we're all in it together, but it sounds like you're doing really well. Got any fun plans for the weekend? Yeah, I might do this, might do that. Great. Well, listen, I just wanted to reach out, say hi. It's been a while, and don't forget, if you ever need someone to come and help with your gardening, or if you need a plumber or an electrician, I'm kind of building out this great database of local area experts that can help you. And so please think of me when you think of your property needs. I'd love to be of help. Simple conversation, right? Not confusing. So once you got this, let's talk about now, how to, it's 12:35. So I'd like to, as we round this out, leave a few minutes at the end just with any questions and stuff let's talk about how we design a day, right? How are we going to design a day that is kind of anchored around this lead gen piece that you got to do, but and this is all about understanding that before we even start our day, we've got to have a really powerful morning routine. We've got to get in the right mind frame, the right mindset, have that growth mindset, not fixed mindset, so that when we start our day, we're fired up. And so is that about, doing the kind of, what's the six things, what miracle morning? I'm looking at my bookshelf over here, the miracle morning thing in the morning, right? Where you decide every day to get up just that little bit earlier, and you do your meditation, you do your exercise, you do your daily disciplines. But start off with a really powerful routine in the morning, and then after you've had a really perfect morning that gets you all fired up, before you go out there and have those conversations, get into your daily business intelligence, research the market, understand what's going on in your local neighborhoods, open up those websites that you can count on every day, or read those trades every day that can give you that local insight, because you want to be the hyper local area experts, right? So make sure that you have that daily business intelligence about what's going on with new listings, coming soons, days on market, all these different metrics that you want to know about. And then again, before you go out there, the next thing you want to do is make sure that you get on that daily power up call where you check in with your accountability partner, or you check in with your coach, or you listen to a podcast, whatever it is, right? That's something that you can do, and then go and do a little bit of role play, a little bit of script practice. Don't practice on your clients, you guys. It's like practicing on your paycheck. It's a big no-no. So think of yourself like an athlete, right? That would never on a month of Sundays choose to go out onto the field of play without having stretched and without having done any practice of the penalty kicks or whatever. You got to go out there and practice, right? So do that role play stuff. Now, get all this done, because you'll get up early. I know, Jatinder, you get up ridiculously early. So you'll get all this done, before like the day has started. You've won the day already. So then when you get out there and have conversations with people, you've got topics to talk about because you've done your research, you're fired up, you practice some dialogues. So then you can go out there and spend that 3 hours a day, ideally. Sounds like a lot, but really it's not that much when you think about if you can lead generate for 3 hours a day and achieve your 5542 or your 104 or whatever you want to call it, just achieve what you need to do, hit your number. That means that you've got the whole of the rest of the day to work on your marketing plans, to work on your listing presentations, to work on your buyer consultations, to work on your transaction management, to work on the working on the business side, looking at your budget, all these other things. But do that in the afternoon. So get done with your lead gen in the morning, and then in the afternoon, all that other stuff, including setting those appointments. So this is a really, really important point for you guys to understand, is that when you design your day and you're very purposeful around knowing what you need to do in order to get the results that you need, you're not going to allow someone to come in and be like, hey, I want to let's have a meeting at 8 o'clock. No, because I'm in my power up right then. And if someone wants to come in, it's important, whatever, that's fine, but replace that the next day. Like defend your diary, defend your calendar. So ultimately, the most important thing that you can do in your business, the most important thing is to have those conversations, to set appointments. Setting appointments is the one leading indicator in your business that is trackable, that is measurable, that is, it's something that is very quantifiable. Because it's easy with lagging indicators to look at your business as to how many homes have I sold, how much GCI have I made, how many listings do I have, you know, et cetera, how many are pending, what's my gross sales volume, what's my average commission. All these are lagging indicators, but it's really tough in a lot of businesses to figure out, like, what are those leading indicators. Luckily in our business, it's actually really simple. It's really simple. Just got to get out there and have appointments with people. And then in those appointments, you can work on that conversion rate, right? So typically, a good conversion rate for buyers, if you run a buyer consultation business, you run a buyer representation business, might be 25% conversion. For every 4 buyer consultations you go on, you get 1 buyer, right? In listings, it might be more like 50-50, you know? So for every 2 listing consultations I go on, I'm going to get 1 of them. So then you can start to be very clear around, you know, if I know that my conversion rate is 50-50 on listings, and I know that I want to do, and I know that my completion rate is like 75% on that, and I don't have my calculator to hand, but let's say, you got to do 12 deals a year, complete 12 deals a year. That might require you to go on not 24 listing appointments, because not all of those will complete, right? So it might require you to go on 35 listing appointments, something like that. Then you can be really clear, how many appointments, you know, do I need to do a month? And then once you've figured out how many conversations does it take to typically set an appointment, and it's about 10 or something, so you can work backwards and figure out how many conversations do I need to have every day to ensure that my pipeline is filled. This is something that you can control. This is why, you know, tracking and measuring these results is really, really important, you guys. So it's not, when you own and operate your own business, it's not about someone else telling you to hit certain KPIs, hit certain targets, do this, do that. It's about you acknowledging that you need to track and measure your own performance. Because when you track and measure your performance improves. So it's really important, Diana, really important to have some kind of visual board up or some kind of way to be able to track and measure, because it holds yourself accountable. So that's really the success formula, right? This is the idea behind this next 50 days, is to, you know, make sure, let's do a quick recap here, is to make sure that you're aligning your behaviors, which are over here, with your goals that are over here. Try and align those behaviors. Step 1. Well, actually, let's rewind. Step 1 is really like, what are your goals, right? Get super specific and clear around what your goals are, and then make sure that the behaviors that you have in all areas of your life, you guys, all areas. This is not just about your behaviors at work. This is behaviors with your eating, with your family, with your health and well-being, with your spirituality, with your contributions, your giving back. So make sure that those behaviors that you're doing every day are aligned with your goals. Then get really clear on why are you doing this and who's it for. And then have the plan, have a daily plan that allows you to be able to focus on that one thing. A plan that sets you up for success, where you know that it's actually pretty simple, not necessarily easy, you guys, but pretty simple, that my plan is designed around having 6 conversations a day. Design that, know your number, and understand that daily discipline is the key here. So that's it, you guys. So this is the 50-day sprint opportunity. You know, if you can do these things, you're going to be in great shape for the next 50 days to ensure that you round out the year really strong and you have a really, really powerful start to the new year. What I will just share with you before we have a little breakout and I can answer any questions is, in mid-December time, we're going to be launching the new 12-week year course, which Sol and Jatinder have been on the 12-week year journey for the last 10 or so weeks, right? We've got a couple of weeks left. And Diana, what this is, a 12-week year, I'll leave it up to Saul and Jatinder maybe to tell you a little bit more about their experience. But what the 12-week year is really a way to have a very clear structure around how you can achieve, more in 12 weeks than most folk will achieve in 12 months by having a very clear plan. So instead of that traditional New Year's resolution where you say, right, this is it, this is the year I'm going to stop biting my nails, or this is the year that I'm going to, go on my Peloton, you just set yourself a 12-week goal that's more manageable. And so the 12-week year journey is an opportunity to have a little accountability, to have a weekly check-in, to have some great ways to track and measure those results, which come as part of the course. And so what we'll do is, before you guys decide whether you want to be part of that 12-week year journey, which is going to start in January, we'll have a kind of a review, right, in mid-December, which is called the Back to the Brilliant Basics, where we'll review what you need to do in order to, be very purposeful and laser focused. And that Back to the Brilliant Basics is me just saying, here it is. This is what you need to do. You don't need to sign up for the 12-week year. You don't need to do it if you don't want. Here's all the tools that you need. You can do it on your own. The 12-week year really is an accountability play. It's a way to ensure that you're part of a group, that we can all hold each other to account, and that we can all track and measure our results and celebrate the wins. So that's what we'll be doing in mid-December. So for the last couple of minutes or few minutes, what do you guys think of today's little session? Does it help? Tell me where you're at.
I am good. And it helps me a lot because I'm slowly getting there. But I'm starting to pick up more traction, like I said to you earlier. I've taken the gym, so that's a good thing. And doing the Ignite 2.0, which I think is really, really good, because it's like, no offense to anybody, but it's the same person kind of running you through the same. So you get that continuity. And what she's doing is the breakout rooms, and she's giving you opportunity to actually practice the scripts which you're talking about. And
I think what it is, Sol, which is really interesting, is that Ignite's been around for a long time, but it's been more like a studying course where you're meant to study stuff instead of really learning stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that what we all can know is that the best way to learn stuff is to get out there and do it.
Well, this is it.
Right.
I mean, like I said, she gives you, I think, half an hour to an hour to actually make calls, which was an unusual thing for me, because I was like, well, come off the course and for an hour, just make the calls, come back and report. So it's forced me to kind of like kick in on that. So I've actually done it for the last 2 days, which is like, okay, I can do this. I don't necessarily need to be told, but I do need to be kicked into
accountable.
Yeah, and it's helped me in the last 2 days to actually make a few calls that I probably procrastinated. So I've made the calls, and funnily enough, I never got a chance to tell her, but I've got, just out making that call, a potential referral.
Good.
Somebody coming to the Midlands looking for a rental. So it's
again, this is one of those things, right? It's just so obvious that you do the thing, you have the power, right?
That's right.
And so it's like in my book, it's all about always being in action, taking action, doing the thing, getting on with it. We can sit there and pontificate and procrastinate and prevaricate and all those other P words, but ultimately you just got to do it. I think that's what the Ignite 2.0 is very interesting, because it's definitely a little bit of a grip shift on how they did it before, and it's a great way to just get it's inspired by, there's another course that Keller Williams does called Business Objective Life by Design, or BOLD, where it's like, this is one of the things that you have to do. You have to go out there and literally in the room, in the class, like, right, we're all going to get, and we're going to go out there and we're going to call people, and it's going to be like a competition. And you do that, and people, it inspires you into action. So that's great, Sol. Really good. Really good. Jatinder, any thoughts from you on today's session? This is stuff that you've heard before, and you know it, but give me some key takeaways.
It is something that I've heard and I know about, but it's good to hear it again because you don't realize how much you let certain disciplines slip, basically. And just making those calls, and it's not a great many calls that you need to make on a daily basis. But if you categorize them and you know who you're targeting, you make that list the night before or first thing in the morning, then you've got that structure. I mean, the last couple of weeks have been a bit of a dip for me, and so it's kind of getting myself back up. But it's always good to revisit that whole process that is quite simple to implement. You just gotta put your head into it and then make sure you've got the list in front of you and just bang out those calls. They won't take long. They won't take long at all.
And this is where, we can be looking at new CRMs and different shiny CRMs that work, and this seems to work. And the sometimes the simplest CRM that you have is this one right here. Just the simplest way to just get out your phone and figure out so there's some statistic that says that at any given time 5% of people are thinking of moving, right, within a year, or getting ready to move. So when people are literally getting ready to move, they're about to pull the trigger within the next year. Another 5% are in that kind of research phase. So they're either ready phase or they're research phase. So that's a full 10% of people that are inside of your phone. So if you simply went into your contacts and looked at how many contacts are in your phone and you had 500 contacts, that could be 50 people in your phone right now that are either thinking of, I'm ready to make that move in the next 12 months, or I'm researching. So then it's simply a question of how do I go find those people, right? So they're right here. They're inside of your phone. Diana, what about you? So thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate that you're on a different time zone and that you're not even on the same continent. It's crazy. It's wild. I love the fact that you're here. What are some of your key takeaways today from this session?
I think it was really great, and it's just because now I'm totally independent. I'm not working for anyone and doing my own thing solely right now. I think this sort of thing has been great to think that I know that I can do so much more. And I don't think although I am successful in what I'm doing, I feel that I can do so much more with a bit of coaching and accountability, because it's quite easy to get lazy and let it slip when the money is rolling in and things are okay. But if you think about how much more you could do with that accountability and just getting the daily little things done, and not coming up with excuses. And so I think a lot of little golden nuggets. So there's a few books and things you mentioned that I'm going to look up, which is really great. Some I'd not heard of. And then the other thing I was going to say, when you were talking about booking appointments and things, I'm not sure whether people in this group right now, whether they already have ready-made systems or what have you, but because I'm more focusing on network marketing at the moment, and I found myself with so many people coming to me and like social media and all sorts of platforms, and me not keeping up with them. So I've started using a calendar, and it's called Calendly.
Yes,
I don't know if anyone.
Calendly is awesome.
It's brilliant. Like, it just makes me look so much more professional. And now if people want to talk to me, they book in my diary, and then I know that they're serious and we've got dedicated time. And it's great to track people's data. You can set questions you want to ask, you get their numbers, you get their emails without even having to beg them for their personal information. So I found that a very, very useful tool with what I'm doing right now, because I'm talking to so many people and it's just hard for me to keep on track. So I don't know.
So it's great. So you're talking to lots and lots of people. I think that for you, it sounds like what we could do is really just tweak and refine that process a little bit, so that then you're working smarter and not just harder, right? Because sometimes by systemizing things and really making sure that you're very clear about where they are in the journey can help you lean into a certain client that might be ready to convert. Whereas another client, if you can identify that they might be, still need to do a little bit of nurturing over time. So,
Yes,
so it's less
definitely.
haphazard, right? So I think, but I think
Definitely.
Calendly is a great, like I use it in my business for sure. It's awesome.
It's excellent.
Great.
So yeah, really good. Thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, you guys. So we're just about rounding out the hour. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to keep it under the hour, and what I will do is I'll make sure that I post this into the Facebook group. Diana, are you part of the Facebook group? I think you are, right? So
I'm not sure. We connected on LinkedIn, but I
okay.
did see somewhere on the invitation about the Facebook group. So
Join the Facebook group. I'll let you in right away, and then I'll make sure this recording is posted on there. There's also lots of other resources on the Facebook group as well, and then we can arrange a follow-up call. We'll book it through Calendly if you like. But the other thing that we can do is just take the opportunity to think on what you've learned today about how you can get super clear around your why. And then, what is it that you can do to put into action so that you've got very clear priorities for the rest of the 50 days that we have in the year? And hopefully you'll choose to make one of those priorities to come along to the Back to the Basics event in mid-December and learn some more stuff. So, guys, thank you so much as ever. And to Tinder and Soul, I appreciate you more than you know. You guys are awesome. And Diana,
Thank you.
awesome job for showing up today. It's great.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
Bye,
Thanks.
Diana.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.